Hi everyone, welcome back. This video I'm hoping is going to help clarify a lot of the confusion surrounding about the new Thai tax regulations that are going to affect, and they will affect, pretty much every expat living here in Thailand. Now, my friend David, most of you know David, he likes to stay on top of this stuff. He just doesn't leave things to chance. He likes to know exactly what's going on. Now, David got in touch with a company based down in Bangkok called American International Tax Advisors. Now, the title is a bit misleading because they specialise in tax affairs for people from all over the world, living here in Thailand predominantly. And anyway, David spoke to Thomas Carden, and he said, well look, I can come up to Udon, Thani, and we'll do a presentation for you. So David kindly arranged at his expense, the Centara Hotel, a meeting room there, and we put this meeting together. Now Thomas came up here earlier in the week, brought with him Lee Stevens and Ken Brown. They work for a company called Business Class Asia. They specialise in pension trusts, offshore trusts, that kind of thing, but also they can give you advice on many different things regarding wills, property, that kind of thing, like securing yourself in a property here. So like I say, this video, it was a one-on-one with myself and Thomas. Take a look down the description box, you'll find all the contact details you need down there for Ken, for Lee and for Thomas, and get in touch with the guys. If there's anything you want to know, if there's any questions you've got, get in touch with them. Plus I'll put a link at the top of the screen here which will take you to, if you want to watch the whole presentation with the three guys, that will take you to the live stream video that I did. The audio is not that great on that, and but you can get the information that you need from there. But this video, like I say, it's a one-on-one with myself and Thomas, going through a majority of what's discussed in the live stream. Very knowledgeable guys, and I'm sure that they'll be able to help you out. Hi everyone, welcome back, and we're here today with Thomas Carden. He's come up from Bangkok. What's your company name? American International Tax Advisors. Okay.
We're actually Thailand's largest international specialist tax firm.
Right.
And while we cater a lot to Americans, especially with the new tax rules coming through, we also deal a lot with every other nationality who's here working in Thailand. The rules that are coming into effect are very confusing, and very few tax firms here in Thailand have ever had to deal with a tax treaty or a national issue.
Sure.
That's our specialty. So we're kind of the authority on these particular issues that are coming down with all the new tax changes.
Well, I've seen it. I mean, David, who organised this today, by the way, we're in the Centara Hotel. My friend David set this up, and because he was trying to find out the information. He's very particular. He makes sure that he's on top of everything like that. And he just couldn't get it. He's been down the tax office, he's been speaking to all different people, and he's not got the news. So that's when he got in touch with you guys, asked you to come up and explain everything to everyone.
One of the issues here that's going to come up a lot of times on this is people will be going into the regional tax offices, and unfortunately, even the main office in Bangkok, we send up a series of questions to. We have an aide who goes in about every other day, ask a new set of questions to them, and then about a month later they send us an answer back.
Yeah.
And in many, many cases, they don't know the answer yet, so they can't send this to the regional offices and the smaller provincial offices on these things because the answers haven't been done.
Right.
Let me go through a little bit of what actually happened here.
Yeah.
Okay. Prior to January 1st of this year, you were under the old rules. Okay. The old rules in Thailand for international income said if the money was not remitted, i.e. brought into Thailand within 12 months after being earned, it was considered savings. Okay. So what that meant was everybody always, if they ever questioned, and they never were, they just said, oh, that came out of my savings account.
Right.
And it poured into Thailand free of tax. I mean, this was not so much a loophole as I always say, a ship channel.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, the wealthy Thai families were doing the same thing. Everybody was just mildly shuffling the cards a little bit, and no international income on an individual basis was being taxed. We had one gentleman who up in Chiang Mai. Sorry,
that's okay. No problem.
Went up to the revenue office in Chiang Mai. He's a very honest guy. Said, I got my money free of tax out of my IRA because the income there is not taxable here. It's only taxable here. I brought that in within the first 90 days. I'm supposed to pay tax on it. The office in Chiang Mai looked at him and said, leave. We don't know how to do that.
Wow.
So they changed that rule to where any income now remitted in that 12-month period has gone away, with some exceptions to this.
Yeah.
But it's gone away. So any income effectively earned after January 1st, 2024, that's brought into this country becomes a taxable issue.
Whether it's savings or not.
No. Okay. That's the exception to this.
Yeah.
Okay, remember I said income.
Yeah.
Okay, if you had the money in a savings account at the end of last year, savings or checking account, some type of cash account to this.
You can get to January the 2nd, bring it in.
You can bring that money in with no issues. So say you had £1 million, I'm assuming British from your accent, with this. You had £1 million sitting in the bank account there, you can bring that money over free of tax. It's just, you have to have proof that money was in some type of savings account.
Is there a period of time it has to be in there?
No, they're telling us right now, December 31st of last year, it's savings.
Okay.
So now any money put in after that can't be counted towards that money anymore.
So these some people have said that this has really been set up because of the Thai big business people, big money people bringing money in, and that's what they're really looking at. They can't just pick and choose who they target. They've got to do it as a sweeping thing, I suppose. But won't those money people still be able to do the same thing? Just have it in a savings account offshore somewhere, and then on the 2nd of January, 1st of January, whatever, just bring it into Thailand.
No, but that was only January 1st of 2024.
Right.
That rule can't be done on December 31st of this year and moving forward.
Right.
That money had to have been in at that point. From that point on, anything coming in is income to it. So that doesn't reset each year with it. It's just that one period of time.
I see.
Looking back, they said, okay, savings from that point, we're not going to worry about.
That's right.
Moving future, that rule goes away.
Yeah.
Now, this is where we come into play on how to minimize your taxation. Okay, I'm not going to talk to you about tax avoidance.
No.
That's illegal. Okay, but we can help you guys, we can help everybody minimize their taxes. What happens here is there's several different strategies. You have a beautiful Thai wife with this. You can gift your Thai wife 20 million baht a year free of tax to both you and her.
Okay.
Now, the key to this is it would have to come out of the foreign account in your name only into her name here with this. It's considered a gift, no taxation.
So if I had a Wise account in London,
you got a Wise account in
money
London?
building up in there, however, it's for me to deal with the English government, the British government to deal with my tax affairs here, and then I can just pass it across to her.
Pass it across to her. Now, she can't move that money into your name ever. It's got to stay in her name.
Cash out and
and pay for the housing expenses. Your stuff is kind of, if you're going out to dinner and she's paying for dinner, no big issues with that. It's the biggest incentive. Well, it's the second biggest incentive to marry a Thai woman. The first is that they're a Thai woman. Do that. But it's the second biggest incentive to get married. Although, fortunately, some gentleman the other day, about a year and a half ago, went in and because he gave his girlfriend, long-term girlfriend he'd been living with, 14 million baht, and they wanted to tax him on it. He went all the way through the court system, and the court system ruled, he has a moral authority to treat her like his wife. So a long-term girlfriend,
like a common
law wife, would be able to get the 20 million baht.
Okay.
Now you can also give your kids 20 million baht, so you can pay for tuition and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You can also do any individual 10 million baht. Now, we get, I'm going to go buy a car. I'm going to gift the car dealership 10 million or 2 million baht to buy the car.
Becoming ridiculous,
And then he's going to gift me the car. And I'm like, no, you're getting something, an economic advantage.
Yeah.
And by the way, the car dealer can walk away with the 2 million baht because you've given it no strings attached to him as a gift.
Sure,
to this. Not a good idea.
No.
To this. The other thing you can do is incidentally, you can use credit cards and debit cards right now are not being tracked on the remittance money with this.
I've heard that.
That's subject to change with this, but you can use your credit cards and pull money out of the ATM. You're going to pay high fees at the ATM, of course, with it, but you can pull that money out, and they're not, at this point, counting this.
Okay.
Now, both of those rules are subject to potential legislative change and tightening the screws on this. Right now, those are the two easiest ways to do this.
Sure.
But you can also contact us if you want to do more advanced planning. We give a free half-hour seminar for anybody up here who's watching your video. Do this free half-hour conversation, and we'll give you the goals on what your particular country says. So you're from the UK. I can tell you specifically that if you were a government employee or a military retiree out of the UK government, to that, and that's where your pension is coming from, that is free of tax here in Thailand. To this. If you were a regular private employee, even the old age pension that they have,
the state pension,
that's unfortunately still taxable here in Thailand,
really?
but not taxable in the UK. To this. So if you are getting taxed on those things, you can go back to the UK and say, I'm not being taxed here. Now the kicker to this is if you start shuffling your cards properly, you get non-tax in many of these countries using the tax treaty. You don't bring the money in your name, you bring the money to your wife's name, and you eliminate your taxation.
Yeah, sure.
For the more advanced stuff, you can really do some advanced planning. If you're going to be here for a long period of time, you can move assets into another pension trust that does have a very favorable tax treaty. Right now, the best is actually through Hong Kong. Hong Kong has a tax treaty that says only Hong Kong has the right to tax pensions. Distributions. Thailand can't. And so, but get this, Hong Kong, if you're not a resident in Hong Kong, they don't tax pension distributions. So you can move your assets into that pension trust, and literally it's a name change. They can still be based on where, whichever jurisdiction you want it to be in. Most of these times they're UK or Channel Islands holding on this. Even US-based assets in this thing. Through that pension trust, and then the pension trust is able to flow that income into here free of tax.
So realistically, I mean, you can't just make a sweeping statement of do this, do this, do this. Each individual, each person's background is going to make a difference to the rules they have to follow, and what's an advantage to them.
That's the reason why. Come talk to us. I'm assuming you put a link to our firm in here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Come talk to us. We understand how absolutely confusing this is, and it's not a sales call. We give you yes and no answers on this, and help people get this to where they can understand what's going on. But every situation is exactly that. There's a unique feel on how you have to do this. There's 64 different tax treaties, or 66, somewhere around there with tax treaties. And each one of those is unique. Each one of those, and I'll give you an example of the American tax treaty, because that's my area of specialty to the majority of our clients. Because this wasn't a big issue for the Europeans prior to this. But the American tax treaty has some weird quirks. It's government pensions, including military, stay taxable only in the United States. But weirdly, because of the way the United States works, that means only federal government pensions, not state governments. So
even that is a divide as well.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a wacky thing with this. But then, so federal government pensions stay there. Social Security, which is our old age pension, is taxable only in the United States. But every other type of private pension, as long as you meet the residency rules here, is not taxable. Now, you're not going to understand these words, but IRAs, individual retirement accounts, SEP accounts, Roth KIOs, ordinary pensions.
I've heard of some.
There's a whole variety of different things that are free of tax in the United States. Now, when you're making distributions on this, we've been very successful with this. And so the idea of this is you take that money out and you plan how you move that money around, and you can effectively eliminate your taxation. It used to be that those guys could bring that money straight into this country because, again, Thailand wasn't taxing it. The tax treaty says only Thailand can tax it. But now you have to do these other steps and be proper with planning. Proper planning makes this flow really efficient.
Of course, that's right. So what we're going to do now, we're going to do a live stream of the actual full presentation. So I'll put a link to that up in the top of the screen here. If someone wants to look at the live stream, we're going to save that on the site. But also we'll put a link to you directly down in the description. Take a look down the description. There's links there. If you want to get in touch and find out more about this, and if you want a personal assessment of your situation, take a look at that description, and I'm sure that you'll be able to help the guys out.
We've got the largest team in Thailand, 28 people at this, and from literally 4 hours after this thing hit, we knew how big this thing was going to be. We've spent the last year concentrating on this, as far as I know, more than anybody else.
Fantastic.
We really have. There's so many different questions that you can answer, and there's a lot you can't right now because the Thai revenue doesn't even know the answers.
No, that's right. We've experienced
we'll help out with that.
That's great. Well, thanks very much. Thanks for coming up from Bangkok. Appreciate it. Look forward to the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.